Hey everyone, and welcome to Finagami Talkies. We know it's been a very long time since we last met, but today we bring to you something very special as we try and make up for that long lost time. Today we talk to you about a man who is the king of bad times, a man who has built himself a fortune on absolutely nothing. We talk to you about a man named Gautam Adani. Now, why do I say Gautam Adani is a man who built himself out of nothing? Well, to put it succinctly, Adani is indebted to the nines. Yes, I repeat, to the nines. Despite the amount of debt that Adani has, the stock markets have propelled him to being the second richest man in Asia. Now, India is going through a phase where it is trying extremely hard to extradite businessmen who escaped to foreign countries like the UK and Antigua and Barbados just to escape the system. Why did they escape? Well, simply because they scammed the system, they borrowed huge amounts of money me and you as common investors can't even fathom, and then they fail to repay that amount. When the system is going through such a problem, why are people, first of all, patronizing a man who is at indebted somewhere around the ballpark figure of $30 billion? And two, why hasn't the system done anything about that? Adani built huge cash reserves last year itself, and he did so by leveraging international credit markets when his companies were already highly indebted. It baffles me to think that when the system is facing problem recovering tens of billions of dollars from tycoons like Vijay Mallya, they are more than willing to let a man like Gautam Adani go free and scot free without any checks in place. They're letting him rampage the banking system across the world with highly leveraged positions. He has raised credit through bond markets, international banks, domestic banks, and anything and everything you can possibly think of. His entire revenue is almost half of his entire net debt. His revenue stands at $15 billion, and I repeat, his debt is $30 billion. It is absolutely bonkers to think that when the markets are trying to recover and reach a resolution with companies like Videocon, Divan Housing, and Nirav Modi, they are willing to let a man like Gautam Adani go scot free. Now, while I might be extremely partial to him simply because to me he's more than anything aligning himself with Modi. Now, to me, that is patriotic favoritism, which I absolutely don't believe in, especially when the financials are extremely disbalanced in this case. Now, while that might be the case, there are a few good points which, in my belief, the banks might be looking at. It is very important for us to understand that international banks and credit markets cannot be influenced in the same way as domestic ones can. The international credit markets are not going to make any stupid mistakes like we are speculating, and while they might be my views, I also certainly believe that the international banks and credit markets are stable enough to figure out that hey, he has potential and let's put money on him, because in the end they're in for the long game and they're also looking to make a sizable amount of money in the interest they gain from these loans. Now, they wouldn't have made these loans had Adani's businesses been highly risky and highly unprofitable. Well, why is that? Because there are two fundamentally important things in his businesses. First, he has aligned himself with the national propaganda. Adani has built his empire following what the national government wants to do. He has invested in sectors which the central government is advertising, opening to FNIs, is opening to institutional investors, and so on and forth. Basically, the sectors which the government wants private cash in. These are the sectors which the government will give to the private sector. These are the sectors which can reap huge amounts of money in the future, when the government, when these are the state assets which are highly lucrative. Think about airports. Now, while COVID might be a dampener, but in the next 2 3 years, when India is fully set on a growth phase, India is going to see high air travel. Why? People would want the ease, connectivity, accessibility, everything that comes along with air travel. This would prove highly lucrative to somebody like Adani, who just happened to buy almost 9 to 10 airports last year alone. Now, this is just one example. Other than that, Adani is investing heavily in green tech. He has built an entire company on solar projects, which, just so it happens, was given a $6 billion contract just last year by the Indian government to develop a solar park in Rajasthan. $6 billion is not a joke. It is a sizable amount of money, and I can see the potential lying there. $6 billion invested once can give huge amounts of capital over a long period of time because it's a one time capital investment. One time capital investment which will reap a premium over and over. It's something similar to the razor blade model of Gillette, something which we've all learned in case studies. This is a model wherein the company is selling one product which will effectively create a cycle where the person has to repeatedly buy another product just to use that one product. So let's name it product A and product B. To use product A, you have to buy B, and B having a short shelf life needs to be repeatedly replaced. This this replacement being repeated is what creates a revenue stream, a cash flow which is sustainable. Something similar to what Adani plans to do. Adani has over a period of time invested in businesses which demand a high one time capital investment, which not many can make, and then reap the profits once those investments are complete. It's more like saying, my investments have evened out and now I'm just reaping the profits. Simply what Adani is doing. Now, this is something which banks really love. They want something which is going to give them free cash. Free cash means free interest for them. This is going to be a win-win for both Adani and the banks, but not in the short term, instead in the longer term. Adani has all the cash in the world to sustain himself for that long ride. Small companies, medium-sized companies, and even companies of a slightly larger scale, say $1 to $5 billion, cannot make those kind of bets because they cannot stretch their finances by and large till that extent. So, in the end, summarizing it, Adani's businesses are high prospective businesses. They are being loved by the markets for these reasons precisely. Adani is like a cross between the new age tech startups and an old traditional conglomerate. His financials are are bigger replications of tech companies which produce profits after a period of time, but his companies are more traditional in their nature. So Adani is like a hybrid model and a highly lucrative hybrid model. We'll have to wait and watch how many and how much these bets pay off in the long term. But well, it is Adani we are talking about. Anything can happen. He's the king of bad times. We'll have to wait and watch. Until then, see you, take care. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.